My name is Janine Gates, and the topic of this presentation is barefoot lawyers in common and civil law countries. Specifically, I'll be focusing on China and India. The term barefoot lawyers takes its name from China's barefoot doctors. Barefoot doctors emerged during Mao Zedong's reign and provided peasants with basic medical training so that they could provide rudimentary advice and treatment where medical help was scarce. The term barefoot refers to their peasant class origin. Similarly, barefoot lawyer is a term for a person without formal legal training who assists others in legal disputes. Often, they are peasants. Unlike barefoot doctors, barefoot lawyers in China are not sanctioned by the state. The legal system creates barriers to justice for poor people who cannot afford a lawyer. Even if they could afford one, the role of a lawyer in a civil legal system like China's is different than in the common law system. In the civil inquisitorial system, it is the judges that ask questions, demand, and present evidence. Also, few lawyers in China are interested in public interest cases as they pay very little. Lastly, in spite of the fact that China has struggled to create a society governed by rule of law, the law continues to be subordinate to the ruling party of China. Lawyers must swear an oath to the party, and judges lack independence as the judiciary is subordinate to the party. This severely compromises the rule of law. In China, the phenomenon of barefoot lawyers began with the government's attempts to bring education and the rule of law to the countryside. As part of an informational campaign, the government distributed thousands of handouts advising rural peasants of their right to sue the government. This act seems somewhat counterintuitive given the authoritarian nature of the Chinese government. Since then, there have been a large number of cases handled by the self-taught barefoot lawyers, often successfully. These disputes involve everything from cases concerning unjust taxes to disputing environmentally destructive practices, to disputes where the government has destroyed a peasant's property and the peasant sues to be compensated for the loss. Due to Chinese legal procedural rules, a person may ask a relative, employer, or community member to represent them in court. This is how some of the barefoot lawyers in China have become somewhat famous for representing other rural Chinese in their fight for justice. In one individual's case, he had represented over 1,000 clients before he fled to the United States. In a system where cases have a 30% success rate for a trained lawyer, one blind barefoot lawyer named Chen Guancheng boasted a 90% success rate. In one case, he helped to expose excesses by Chinese authorities who are enforcing China's one-child policy by forcing women to have abortions and forced sterilizations. This case gained worldwide attention and led to his kidnapping, torture, imprisonment, and eventual daring escape and flight to the United States.